So we'll go ahead and start the call to order, the Board of Adjustment meeting, Thursday, March 11, 2021. And the first item of business on the agenda that was sent to us is the election of the chairperson and vice chairperson. Since we don't have the two people who actually needed to be sworn in today, that would actually be what we would need to do first, is swear in our new members. But neither of them are actually here. So in terms of a roll call, on Zoom, just so that it's for the record, we have Janet Cole and Janet Sohm. You want to pronounce that properly for us? Did I do it right? Okay. All right. And then here in the room we have David Baskett and Momin Kazi. So we have a quorum, but Adam and Daryl aren't here, and Ron Henry, also our alternate, is not here. All right. So first we need to elect a chairperson and then a vice chairperson. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion. Sorry, go ahead. I'll make the motion to go ahead and nominate Momin again. I know you've been doing this for quite some time, so we'll make the motion to nominate you as chairperson again.
Yeah, Jeanette seconds that. I emphatically confirm that.
Thank you very much. I am happy to accept that nomination. And so it's a strange thing. I would normally not vote. So how do we do that, Steve? Because we need me to vote yes to have acclamation. So I guess we'll just all in.
Because it's not a legal issue, you don't have to worry about it just needs to be majority. It doesn't have to be unanimous.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to vote if you don't want to.
Okay, good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. I definitely am happy to continue. It's a real pleasure and an honor, and I feel like as each year goes by, I'm learning how to do this. So, for the vice chairperson, we need to also have a motion, and I would like to move that David Baskett, who is a former member of the Board of Adjustment, has just come back just only a few meetings ago, be the vice chairperson. Do I hear a second? I guess you can't second yourself.
I can't second myself.
All right. Having no second, do I hear a motion for a vice chairperson?
I move that we re-elect Jeanette Sohm as vice person.
Second.
All right. So all in favor say aye.
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 All right. Thank you very much. All right. So we have now a chairperson and a vice chairperson. Welcome back, Jeanette. And so we'll consider the approval now of the minutes for the February 11 meeting. And it was sent to us previously in a packet in our agenda. So has everyone had a chance to look those over? And are there any minor corrections that we need to make that are cosmetic, or are there? Do I hear a movement? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as written last month.
Thank you, Janet. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right. Thank you, Jeanette. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So those have been approved. I'll sign them afterwards, Steve.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so let's open up the public hearing. Our first case is public hearing case number V 2021-003. And Steve, if you'd present that to us, we'd appreciate it.
Apologize for the phone there. Mr. Chairman, I have the first case as being 00. Did you say 3?
3.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you would just indulge me just for a moment, I'd like to formally introduce our newest member to our team, Ms. Tina Cox. Tina Cox is going to be serving as our permit technician, and she started a couple weeks ago. She's doing a great job for us, and of course we're very happy to have Stacy King here with us tonight to help us out as well. And thank you to the officer that's here to watch over us and make sure things are safe. So Appreciate you allowing me that opportunity. So we have two cases tonight. Both cases will be pretty straightforward, and I'm excited to be working with the applicant on this project, and we have representatives from the county tonight with us to present testimony, but these cases are for a new county building that will be in the downtown district. And they have provided us a site plan for this particular project. The applicant is Brian Gaffin with Gaffin Architects, and he's representing Egrath County, requesting a variance from landscape requirements, which is section 154.1 C1 for a project to be constructed at parcel 29239 and 29240, which will be lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 of block 14 of the city edition of the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. These parcels are also known as 235 South Virginia and 280 College, respectively. Mr. Gaffin is asking for a 5% reduction in the landscape requirement. The ordinance requires a 15% coverage for landscaping. Because of the footprint of the building and the parking requirements, he is asking for a 5% reduction in this requirement. And Mr. Chair, that's basically the conclusion of my presentation.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that a reduction in mass or a reduction in substance? If that makes sense, what I'm asking.
It would be a reduction in the total coverage on the lot as far as pervious and impervious drainage that would be dedicated to landscaping for that particular parcel, or those parcels in this
To
case.
accommodate for parking area.
Yes, ma'am. Parking
Okay.
and the size of the building footprint itself.
Okay.
It's a little confusing, Steve, if you wouldn't mind clarifying a little bit. That, from my understanding, case 003 doesn't mention landscaping, whereas it does mention parking, whereas 004 is about a reduction in landscaping. So could you clarify the differences between the two?
So V 2021-003 on the document I have off of the website is showing that the variance is for a 5% reduction in the landscape requirement.
That's,
It's opposite on the packet.
yeah, it's just the opposite.
Okay. Well,
There's
there
Daryl.
must be a clerical error on my part. If I can switch the case numbers
So, okay, so on,
administratively, and we can get that straight. So
okay.
I don't know how it ended up in my packet differently than yours.
Well, the printed packet's a little different. So, okay, online we've got the variance, which is 004, is about the parking. And you're saying that online, because that's what I printed up myself, but then when the packet we were given today,
Right.
is that what everyone else sees too?
PDF is just the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we just want to make sure it's clear that we're voting on the same issue. So,
If you'll allow me to see the document, please, so I can make
Sure.
sure I get it correctly.
okay, so this is the one that was printed up and just given to us. But what I printed from the PDF that was online just states those two requests
So
are.
we have the staff reports switched.
Okay.
Let me get down to the next staff report,
Okay,
and I'll read that into the record for.
okay, that sounds good.
My apologies for that.
No problem. So this
So
first,
no landscape reference in 004 or 003?
so if you printed up the PDF at home, we're looking at 004, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so 004 is actually the, in your packet, the landscaping, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And Daryl's here. Hey, Daryl. So come on, come on up and join us here.
He likes to make an entrance.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, he needs to be sworn in before he can take action as well.
okay. Well, we certainly need his presence on the board. It's nice to have more than just 4 people for a quorum, so should we interrupt the public hearing and swear in our latest member?
Let's do.
All right.
Yes, let's do.
All right.
And Chair, please remember, my mother is ill, and so my sister was calling me, and we've been taking care of business, so that's why I'm running late.
Well, all right, Darrell, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me, sir. I, Darrell Brown,
I, Darrell Brown,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of board member
of board member
of the Board of Adjustment
of the Board of Adjustments,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yay!
Congratulations. Come on. You can come up to one of these nice little carols. All right. So,
All right, Mr. Chairman, if you may, if you will allow, I will read the correct case into the record.
okay.
So for case V 2021-003 is applicant Brian Gaffin with Gaffin Architects representing Erath County. He is requesting a variance from parking requirements, section 154.11 A 2D for a project to be constructed at parcels 29239 and 29240. This will be lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Block 14 of the city addition to the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. These parcels are known as 235 Virginia and 280 College, respectively. The variance under consideration is to allow parking spaces in front of the building. For the downtown district, the ordinance does state that the parking should be behind the building or not in front of this building specifically. Mr. Gaffin is in an effort to try to make certain that we have ample parking for the office spaces that will be related to this particular facility, is requesting that we allow front parking spaces for that. And I also believe that it's because they have a desire to allow some at-curb citizen or customer contact from the persons working in the facility. So with that and the fact that the 2 parcels are going to be replatted and they do have parking across the street, and looking at the site plan that Mr. Gaffin has shared with me, I think it's going to be a very appealing structure, and I have no objection to the front parking for this particular building.
What is this building going to be?
It's a new facility for county departments within the city. So currently, they occupy several buildings around the square, and it's my understanding that all of those different departments within the county will be relocated to this one facility. But we do have county representatives here to verify that.
Steve, does this all fit in with the discussion yesterday of the new downtown renovation? From what I understand, that there was going to be a change in the parking area for downtown?
There is a downtown revitalization project underway that does involve parking and street improvements, but I don't believe that these two are directly connected or directly involved with the project.
Okay.
They're off the squares.
Janet and Jeanette in the PDF that was sent earlier, that I think it's posted online too. There's actually a blueprint for that building, and it has a pretty good notation of every office that's supposed to be included. And did you see that?
I'm looking at future land use, aerials, parcel, water and sewer utilities. Yes.
Yeah, I saw it, but I couldn't print it up, and I was having trouble seeing it, so with the scale that it was at.
That's a lot of offices.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you,
Parcel
Steve.
addresses.
All right, so I think,
I have a question for us. What kind of public notice was given on this? I mean, did we put it in the newspaper or
We're
post
not,
it outside?
for Board of Adjustment meetings, we are not required to provide a publication in the newspaper,
Okay,
but we did send notices to everyone within a 200-foot radius 10 days before the time of the hearing,
okay,
and so we did meet the due process requirement.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
and does that include all those addresses?
That is correct.
Yeah. So that's also noted in the PDF.
Right.
Yep,
Mhm.
on page 10, I think. Well, it looks like Mr. Gaffin, or who is representing the?
Either one.
Either one, well, okay, if you'd come on up and to the podium and introduce yourself and state your name for the record, and then,
Thank
and
you,
then,
Mr. Chairman and Board, and Steve, thank you for all your help getting through this process. I have with me today the county auditor. His name is Kent Reeves. If y'all don't know Kent, he's been with Erath County now for, what, year and a half, 18 months. So we are embarking on a project to consolidate the offices to make the county more efficient. You asked the question, and a very good question, what is this building going to house? It's going to house the county clerk's office primarily. We're gonna bring the tax assessor office over. If you know where she's located right now, I think it used to be the old jail facility. So they will be moving over as well. We'll have AgriLife in there, and then we'll have the county health in that structure as well. So being that it is going to be a public structure, that we have to accommodate everybody, and we want to accommodate everybody in that particular setting. So we have the American with Disabilities Act that we have to consider. That's one of the reasons that we're asking for a variance on the parking. We are solving that in a couple of different ways. We are providing at least at this particular point in time in our schematic drawings, we are providing a drive-through window to accommodate people that come through the tax assessor's office, which we think is going to be a huge benefit to an aging clientele. We also are providing some covered parking in one location to assist people during the voting times that are non-ambulatory and may not be able to get out of their vehicles. So we feel like this new structure is going to be able to accommodate the citizens of Erath County for an extended period of time. It's kind of difficult when you're looking at a solid single block of property that is going to be combined in the near future into one platted piece of property. We're currently working with the surveyor on that currently, and so it will just be dedicated to one parcel. We're looking at the formal address of being some 222 East College, I believe, is what we're looking at the formal address of the structure being. When you look at a single block, there's not really a front or a back or two sides when you put a structure on it. But what we want to do is we want to accommodate the citizens of Erath County in the most efficient way that we can. Therefore, the parking happens to appear as though it's on the front of the structure. In this particular case, that's where there will be flagpoles. That's where the primary entrance will be. Although just opposite that on McNeil Street, there'll be the same type of entrance. It just will not be, there will not be parking spaces unless you are across McNeil, which is an adjacent piece of property to this. That will be more of the employee entrances coming off of McNeil and coming across McNeil back into the structure. So I'm here to answer any other questions. It is going to be somewhere around a 25,000 square foot structure. It is going to be a single story, so there will not be stairs up or down. But it will, the volume or the height of the structure will appear as though it's a story and a half. And it will have it will have a couple of different meeting facilities in there, one for during the voting times and Then there'll be one for everything that AgriLife does with the community in teaching people how to do everything from cooking to sewing. And so it's going to be a very active place, and we're very excited to have an opportunity to have a city block this close to the courthouse to actually make it happen. So I'd be glad to answer any specific questions that you may have, and if I can't answer them, I'm sure that Kent can. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffin. Do we have any questions for the board for Mr. Gaffin or Mr. Reeves?
I have a question.
Yes.
How many parking spaces are we gonna have? Because, my family's involved in 4-H, which is part of AgriLife, and sometimes we have fairly large meetings and
Yes, ma'am. I believe the site plan that Mr. Gaffin provided has 41 parking spaces on the property. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they do have parking across the street from this facility that their customers and employees can use as well.
okay.
Mr. Gaffin, it sounds like there's going to be different ways for accommodations to occur, and one of those is you mentioned drive-through. There won't be the necessity for a ramp because there won't be any steps?
Well, there are not any steps. So obviously, we will have a civil engineer that works with us and works with the city on not only the drainage watershed, but then also a total handicapped accessibility from the sidewalks that we will have around the perimeter of this block back into the structure. So yes, sir, we will, there will not be any physical steps unless we run into a grading issue. Looking at the topography that was done by an engineering firm by the name of Hibbs and Todd, they did our survey, our primary survey, and our topography. It does not look to me like we're going to have any of those issues. We have also done an environmental survey on the entire city block. This was after the police, not the police building, it was after the city had abandoned that one structure, and then after they got razzed, we did an environmental on the entire block. And then we've also done geotech investigations so we can tell what the soil conditions are. Yes, sir, we're trying to be as thorough as we can to accommodate everybody.
While you're there, so this accommodation today, if we grant a variance, would allow for parking spots in front of the building, and also it sounds like enough parking so that if someone by any chance couldn't or didn't want to cross the street from McNeil or over McNeil, they could still get to the building just fine through parking via this variance.
Yes, sir. We did not want to take the downtown district literally in the way that it's written, to the point where we could have gone essentially property line to property line. We didn't feel like that would be a benefit to the patrons that are going to be utilizing the structure. So to answer your question, yes, sir. In a situation where there would be an overflow condition from the 41, the McNeil entrances are really pretty accommodating as well, because the county actually owns half of that block and maybe a little bit more, or possibly a little bit more of that. So,
Very good.
Good question. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gaffin, you have Mr. Reeves. Do you want to add anything to the?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's doing great, but if y'all have any questions, I'm here just for representation.
Gotcha.
And,
Okay. So it looks like we don't have anyone from the community to speak against this. So I guess if we don't have any further questions from the board, Daryl or David, then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and we can entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve case number V2021-003.
and I second.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Daryl. And any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is approved, and it's approved unanimously, so you're welcome. So now, Steve, if you'd read to us case V2021-004.
Yes, sir. This one may sound familiar to everyone. Applicant Brian Gaffin with Gaffin Architects is representing Eagle County, is requesting a variance from the landscape requirements, section 154.13C1, for the project to be constructed at parcels 29239 and 29240. This will be lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Block 14 of the city addition to the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. These parcels are known as 235 South Virginia and 280 College, respectively. The variance under consideration is for a 5% reduction in the landscaping requirement. City of Stephenville ordinance requires a 15% coverage of the total property, and he is asking for a 5% reduction to allow for parking and the footprint of the building that's to be constructed. And that, with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, the staff report, it seemed to indicate that there was no issue from the city on this.
That is correct. We are in support of this
Okay.
particular request.
Very good. All right, thank you. So, Mr. Gaffin, if you would come back up, and we'll ask you some questions maybe about the landscaping aspects of this this variance request. Does anyone on the board have a question? So, I do. But this is all to accommodate the parking? Is it connected to that, or is it just a matter of the footprint of the blueprint is so large that the only way to really have this happen on to what will be 222 East College is to just have a 5% reduction? Or, I mean,
I guess that's a good question. I think I understand what you're saying. I think that some of it has to do a little bit with greed in that we're trying to get 41 parking spaces.
okay,
And we're trying to get sidewalks around the entire perimeter. We're trying to get people safely into the structure with wider sidewalks. We don't want someone stepping out of their vehicle, even though they're on a curb edge, to be stepping into mud or landscaped area. We would prefer that either be crushed aggregate or some other solid surface material. So when you begin to kind of take provisions to do that, you begin to take landscape or impervious material up by placing impervious on there. So, or the other way around, I'm sorry, impervious, we put pervious down. So it's kind of like, well, we could strip out 3 more parking spaces, we could end up with 38. We could get some more foliage around. I think that we're all very cognizant, and we want the environment to be clean. We want it to be shaded. We want there to be places where people can park and get out of the sun. And we do want it to be an aesthetically pleasing block, city block, for not only the city of Stephenville, but for Erath County as well. So we feel like that we are going to be able to accommodate the 10% in total landscape and accommodate 41 spaces. That may change slightly. We may end up, you may see it at the end of the day, it may be 38, and we may have 12% landscape. So it's always just kind of a tug of war in how we accommodate the site. But we're excited about the possibility of having a really nice landscaped area down there, to the extent that one of the things that I've been challenged with from the county is to get with the utility companies now and see if there is a chance. I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to back up just a minute. The city of Stephenville has great utilities there for us already, and we're so thankful for that. They have great water, they have great sewer, they have great fire hydrants. For a structure of this magnitude being placed on this site, so we're very thankful for that. What we wish was that all the utility lines, the electric utility lines, cable, whatever else is on those, were underground and in that particular area. So we are going to try to have a discussion and see with those utility companies whether or not we can actually figure out a way to get those buried in those areas. So don't know that we'll be successful, but we're going to try that just to try to improve the aesthetics of that area of the city block.
thank
I have
you.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Janet?
Yes, is the landscaping gonna be encased in, say, a flower bed that is ground level, or are you gonna do like flower boxes?
Right now, everything that we're discussing as far as pervious and impervious would be in a flower bed. It would be basically at ground level.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have another question to go with that.
Sure.
Jeanette?
With the landscaping and everything, and you're wanting to bury the cables and all that, have you discussed the root systems interfering with those cables of those plants and trees?
No, ma'am. I have not considered that. That's a question, that's above my pay grade. Honestly, I don't know.
My dad's a retired soil scientist, so root systems and cables, mixing together or not mixing well, is always a consideration.
They may make us shield those cables if they do go underground. They may make us protect those as they go through to accommodate that. It's something that I'm sure we will discuss with those public
I'm sure
utilities when we
something
get
can be
there.
done. Something can be done.
Yeah.
Good question, good point.
And then, to go along with that, the plants that you're proposing, I'm assuming are native to the area?
Almost everything that we would be looking at would be some type of a xeriscape type of plantings. I feel like that's what's appropriate here. I think that the underground irrigation systems would be what we would be absolutely 100% focused on, and then the xeriscape type plantings. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Daryl? So, just for the sake of asking, in case since there's accountability somewhere, right? So, if anyone were to ask me, did we do everything we could to ensure that this beautiful new facility still, with deference to the trees and the nature and other kinds of wildlife issues, I'm not laughing them off, I'm just saying, for someone who really does care about that kind of thing, it just seems like 5% reduction in landscaping could be maybe unnecessary, because maybe there's a way to work around it. So I'm just asking you to convince me that there's no way you guys could make this building without this request being granted.
I can't convince you of that because we've talked about the trade-offs. So the trade-off is to reduce our aggregate parking.
10% of a city block is still a lot of landscaping. I mean, that's still, at the end of the day, that's a lot of landscaping. So
That's still a lot of landscaping.
It's a lot more than what is there currently.
that is,
Okay.
that is 100% correct. Yes.
That's all I needed to
You
hear.
could, you could put 2 plants there and it'd look better than it does right now, so.
No.
But I do appreciate your consideration.
And I appreciate your answer, and I know that you've already mentioned that there's a possibility without even any government intervention that it may end up in the end be 38 parking spots or 40 instead of 41.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Just to let you know that we are being respectful, I feel like, to the environment as well, and we'll take that into consideration as we develop the site plan further. Thank you for your consideration.
I deeply appreciate your answers. Yeah. All right, so any other questions for Mr. Gaffin? And it looks like we also have nobody from the community to oppose this, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And do I hear a motion regarding V 2021-004?
So move.
I move that we approve motion B 2021-004 as written.
Thank you,
I
Janet.
second.
Okay, we have a second from Jeanette. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. All right, so congratulations on that. And we will go ahead and I move that we adjourn the meeting. We don't have any further business.
Could I ask just one more question first?
Okay?
When is this construction going to begin, or this renovation going to begin? What's the timeline?
Can I address?
Sure.
Brian Gaffin again. Good question. We are in what we consider, in architecture, we consider this a preliminary design phase. And because it is a governmental entity, we have a lot of responsibility financially to, with the county and the county auditor, making sure that they have the means to support this type of a structure. And so we will be stopping at the end of our preliminary design phase. So what you voted on today is a big step towards us completing that preliminary design phase. For instance, if you came back and we did not get granted either one of these, then we would have to have gone back and modified either the structure or parking, one of the two. And we're certainly willing to do that. We're glad that we don't have to, and we appreciate your votes yes today. But so we'll stop after preliminary design. We'll go into an in-depth professional cost estimation, and then at that point in time, we'll turn that back over to the county commissioners. We'll let them do their due diligence, and we'll let them make a decision to proceed. After they do, that does not mean that the structure proceeds. That means that they authorize us to hire our professional engineers to develop a full and comprehensive set of construction documents that then we present to the city for their review, their analysis, and eventually permitting, which will be done by a professional contractor. We are developing the contract to be a contractor at risk. Construction manager at risk is what we are looking at developing. And so we will be interviewing general contractors that are capable of building this type of facility sometime within the next several months. And if I was to rub my crystal ball and answer that question for you right now, I would say that construction would start sometime in the end of the third quarter of this year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your
Sign.
question. Thank you for your interest.
Mr. Chairman and Steve, with that question, or with that answer, do we need to modify our approvals pursuant to any changes that the county might make on it, since we're dealing with county offices?
I don't think so.
No, ma'am, I don't believe that would be necessary. The decisions made tonight, I think, will just go into effect, and as Mr. Gaffin stated, he may not need the full 5% reduction, but if the project doesn't move forward, then the decisions made tonight will not be in effect.
Okay.
Thank you all again for your time and your consideration.
Thank you for being here, and congratulations again and being able to move forward. We look
Thank
forward
you
to
for
seeing
your
what
presentation.
happens. See you. All right, well, I'm so happy that Daryl and Janet and David and Jeanette all could attend today. We had a full board of adjustment here, so that's exciting. So now, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I move
All
that
right.
we adjourn.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
None opposed. See you next time.